So good morning or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome this morning. It's my absolute pleasure. My name's Al, to welcome everybody today. We're talking today about smart pharmaceutical manufacturing and how fast is the new smart. I've got with me today Annie Turner, who's our CEO. My name's Al. I'm actually calling in from Cambridge in the UK today, but I see we have a lot of people across the African continent, and we have a lot of people across Europe as well, so welcome. The thing that I thought was very interesting today was we see some very senior people join from some pharmaceutical and bio companies. So welcome, we appreciate your time today. A precursor to Annie, and and as I hand over to Annie now. So Annie was the founder and CEO of the Data Shack for just under or coming up to 25 years. We've been working with manufacturing and processing, and you'll see it there, Six Sigma. Annie is actually a data scientist, and kind of that's our approach. So we've been working around the manufacturing and processing plants globally, and we specifically have worked a lot around pharmaceuticals. So Annie, that kind of is a precursor to hand over to you. Annie, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Al. Thanks for that introduction. Hope everybody's well this morning. Once again, as Al said, I'm really excited to have all of you join us this morning. This guys, for me is also a bit of a practice run. I'm speaking next week in Boston at a global pharma manufacturing user group. So you getting hot off the press my deck and what I'll be talking about. But we wanted to make sure we get this out to the rest of our audience. So I'm really excited to have all of you join us this morning. So guys, really talking today, as Al has alluded to, we've worked for many years in all kinds of manufacturing, pharma being one of those. More and more in the last 5 years, post-COVID, we are seeing real innovation happening in the pharma space, and especially in the pharma manufacturing space, but also in other pieces of it, your validation and things just been happening a lot faster. And just a lot of the people we're speaking to kind of don't know where to get started. I'm a data scientist, as Al said. We've been working for many years in assisting our customers with predictive analytics, advanced analytics, and deploying that in production environments and manufacturing environments. And pharma is advancing at a rate, thankfully, some of the processes for the sake of COVID has been sped up, all of your regulatory processes. And really, this topic speaks right to my heart, because we are trying to assure that you guys, as a market out there, know everybody's talking about this stuff, but how do I get started and not to kind of be scared of it? So guys, therefore, this talk this morning, talking about fast being the new smart. How do you get started? How can you learn from our experiences? Try to adopt your processes to what's happening here in the future, what's happening in AI, machine learning, and we're seeing this not just in pharma but in general manufacturing. So if we're talking about a smart factory and AI being deployed, I spoke earlier this year. So guys, you can hear from my accent, I'm South African born, grown up, lived in South Africa for most of my life, started the Data Shack there. And we've branched out over the years into other markets. I'm currently in York, United Kingdom, so north of England. We've got customers here, we've got customers in the US, and all across the region, as well as in Asia Pac and offices over there. But I spoke earlier in the year at the Smart Manufacturing and Engineering Summit here in the UK, and there's been some surveys done around manufacturers in pharma and various other industries, and 63% of manufacturers are scared and don't know where to start with AI. We've got things to consider. You've got your process, your CPV, your process validation. You've got looking at your regulatory documentation, all of the things that you so highly regulated on. How does that mesh? And how does good manufacturing practices and all of your GXP applications, how does that mesh with getting AI embedded? So you've got that extra challenge sitting on your shoulders. And a survey said to us, general, any manufacturer, not just pharma, 60%, 63% of the manufacturers don't know where to start with AI. It's kind of the scary thing in the room for them. And specifically here in last 2 months, we've been working with some auto manufacturers and large ones, large German ones, telling us that they kind of sort of worried about their readiness for these types of applications. So guys, talking about just a bit of these stats, I'm a statistician by nature. Only 9% of manufacturers have already started off with implementing machine learning, AI, advanced data science algorithms within their manufacturing processes. But the stats are kind of staggering around just analytics projects and the realm of AI and machine learning. Gartner kind of have told us 85% of those projects fail because people don't know what the right things are to do, the good practices. You guys are really used to your GXP and good manufacturing practices. But are there good practices for implementing AI and ML and getting you started and doing the smart things very quickly? So this talk is aimed at giving you some tips and tricks that we've learned over the last 25 years on what not to do, what to do. And the ebook that comes along with this, we'll also be releasing one shortly, specifically for pharma, but assuring that you guys know where to start, and we've learned some of the lessons already in not just in pharma but other manufacturing realms, and what are the things you should or should not be doing, and to look out for. And the first thing I want to kind of touch on here is, and again, this is true for pharma. This is true for other industries we talk to. You guys, I know, collect obviously masses of data. You have lots more of it, but you kind of have less insight. I kind of liken it. I usually say to my team when I was a youngster and I grew up working with steel manufacturing, people like Sasol in chemical manufacturing and so forth, working with them to embed some of the statistical methods and data science methods. And I used to feel like a courier picking up little boxes like DHL, picking up little boxes, Excel spreadsheets, text files, which was my data, stitching it together, building models and trying to help my customer become more proactive, predictive. These days, it's the other way around. I'm kind of like a diver in a wetsuit, and the data is the water, and I'm snorkeling through, trying to go and find the essential nuggets of information that's important to my customer. So it's the industry's flipped on its side with data being available. I find that across the value chain, anything from incoming supply up to your process steps within your pharma manufacturing, your upstream, downstream processes, all of those processes have departmental pieces, managers, KPIs. Those things don't always have a common platform from a high level view to have a look at. And it's really hard for you to kind of see the wood for the trees, if you will. We've got analytics, and guys, really, I kind of started my career studying statistics and data science for business and marketing. So the algorithms for those in finance and insurance and so evolved first. So a lot of the modeling techniques that got developed for those industries and not for manufacturing. So, we want to make sure that, we really worked for 25 years getting those embedded into industry, into manufacturing production plants, especially the things that are important to you guys, your good practices, your continuous process validation, QC trending, understanding the shelf life of your product and how it deteriorates, and kind of predicting those evaluation times, and obviously it's the data is very different in a continuous batch type process. So we need to understand at every step what is causing yield drops perhaps, and what's going wrong, and where do we need to put the right measures in place and analytics in place. For years and years, guys, we've adopted, and Six Sigma is a great methodology, but your software is not built for that, and to work with that kind of methodology. And so we tried through our experience to make sure that we use all the right methodologies to help you get started the right way. So almost merging what a data science methodology might be, and what are the right steps to follow with your Six Sigma methodology, and making sure that we don't throw out those things that you've learned, and that's your factory speak and your manufacturing speak. That's what your engineers understand, your people in your quality labs, people doing validation on your products, and making sure that we still speak those language, but in machine learning, AI, data science context, and we marry those methodologies and give you some sort of a best-in-class experience, because else you're going to fail. Guys, I don't have to talk about BI dashboards. We've all made them and built them, and some of our customers use 3 or 4 BI tools, and not everybody uses them. And you build dashboards, and it's one person likes them and 3 others don't use them. So these are challenges when we've worked through the years with customers that just keeps coming up, number one, but not just keeps coming up. Actually, with technology evolution has become just a bigger problem, to be honest, because it's just more data. So guys, what am I talking about when I'm talking about pharma specifically? And I'm talking about how does manufacturing in pharma and the things we need to look at, how does that marry with AI, machine learning, and these methodologies, and getting you started just a lot quicker. So talking about things like your product stability, shelf life, you all have to do that. You all have to understand. But have you embedded predictive modeling techniques, helping us to look at various aspects and pieces of data, not just your process data. What about your lab QC data, your LIMS kinds of systems? What about the conditions? What about all of the other pieces of data that contribute to the stability and shelf life of your products? Predictive modeling just gives us that huge new tool set to be able to monitor these processes and be much more accurate and be much smarter about the way that we predict shelf life and work with our products. Things like using image and sensor data, understanding what's likely to immediately looking at the sensor data and images of your product as it's going through your manufacturing process, to assure that what we looking at, we're looking at right now, not when a batch is completely run through all of its process steps. We're seeing a lot of our pharma customers starting to look and talk about digital twins to simulate stability. One of our US customers, and again, confidentiality can't be named, we did a project for them 2 years ago, just to try and understand what is causing good and bad batches, and can we simulate this, and can we kind of have a look at which process steps, where does it go wrong? Can we do it before, having historical data simulate what we think might happen given the conditions we have now? So that's really coming to the fore, not only in stability and shelf life analysis. When you look at your continuous process validation sort of applications, we're coming closer and closer. And I know you've got process control systems, guys. All of you have had those for years and years. That's not what we're talking about here. We're really talking about smart AI and ML under the hood. real-time monitoring your processes, real-time warning you of anomalies and detecting those anomalies, and again, I say this, if we talk about historical analysis and things like historical root cause analysis, that's gone. That's happened, guys. It's like looking in your rearview mirror, and that's too late. These days, perhaps you have some sort of indicators from your process control systems that will show you what's going on in your through the windscreen of your car. But what we try to do with embedding AI and machine learning is to assure that we give you a Google Maps before you leave. You can simulate what might happen given the conditions, and your real-time systems can be intelligently, we call it predictive prescriptive analytics, saying, if you continue like this is going to happen. Please do A, B, and C. And that's what you want to do when anomalies started being detected, and talking also around predictive maintenance on your equipment and things like that. That's all got to do with that whatever we are and things like you're using AI in your advanced process control systems. We've actually got some chemical, and it's really exciting, a chemical manufacturer currently out of Connecticut, where we are busy implementing within their batch process AI application to help with deciding for the user what settings and what specifications need to be adjusted given the batch currently going through the process. We're not, of course, just saying AI will take over. We are saying run it alongside, make good suggestions until we trust it enough and it's learned enough from our process to automate this whole thing. Talking about your GXP, your good practice, good manufacturing practices, good process practices, all of those things. Assuring that we can automate things like data integrity and all of your compliance monitoring on your, generative AI and those kinds of things these days play a huge role in these things, and look at your risk analysis in the grander scheme of things, and also, of course, using intelligent process automation for your documentation and auditing. Especially with these large language models, you know, ChatGPT and all of these tools exist out of there. You've got trusted documentation within your business, and you've got regulatory compliance that's being pushed out from your regulatory bodies. Why not use automated processes to validate that everything that's in there should be in there? These are the things that our customers are really talking about in this space and compliance space. The last two sort of pharma topics related to AI that I want to talk about is something that's called golden batch analysis. And again, this customer that I was speaking about, we were really looking for yield optimization for them, not the chemical customer, the pharma customer. A yield optimization. It's proteins for chemo drugs coming out of a process, and yields were dropping under same conditions. We were obviously using golden batch analysis techniques like, and I don't want to bore you again, I'm a statistician, a data scientist, principal components analysis to go and say what batches are standing out, what are the good ones, what are the bad ones, how can we model and try and be predictive about fixing the batches while they're being manufactured. What do we need to do to them to get a golden batch at the end of the day? So it's all to do with using predictive modeling techniques, doing real-time monitoring with AI in our process control systems, and looking at fast automated deviation analysis. We want the data to tell us root causes. We want to make it intelligent enough before we have to go sit for days and days and look through historical data analysis. We all know that's too late. Your batches are scrapped. You've lost all that money and raw materials. And specifically yield optimization, when we could identify the golden batches, we could optimize for the process, the variables within the process steps that we knew where things were going wrong. We could watch them more closely, simulate, and of course use those AI algorithms to up the yield for this particular customer. Again, in yield optimization, predictive maintenance and digital twins come to the fore. It's not just about the process itself, it's about the equipment. When do I have downtime? When do I have uptime? Why do I have it? Can I be more predictive about this? And then again, simulating what my potential yield may be and optimizing for that. So guys, these are just my sort of, first of all, view around how does AI, machine learning, these nice advanced data science techniques marry with what you're currently doing today already in your pharma manufacturing process. But looping back to my 5 tips, and am I really ready? I go to loads and loads of conferences in various manufacturing spaces, and what really sort of irks me by some tech vendors, these huge tech vendors, you walk to their stand and they tell you, oh, it's possible to do this, it's possible. I just showed you some really 5 good use cases where AI can be implemented. The kicker for me always is, have you done it? Where have you done it? Show us where you've done it. Show us where it's working. And to get you started, you need, obviously to really be ready. And are you ready? Are you ready for talking to a large audience, deploying this at scale within your business? Or is it something that 2 or 3 or 4, one of the, and I again won't name names, one of the large auto manufacturers we spoke to, one of the big German ones, we went and they asked us to come and have a look at their state of AI readiness for certain use cases we'd identified. And they were saying to us, the people that there were 5 people in the room when we first started talking to them, and they were saying to us, the people that want to do this and understand anything about this, that it's the 5 people in this room. In this plant, we've got a few thousand people working here, but these are the 5 people that kind of know what we think we want to do. So guys, those are the things that kind of scare you if you need to start. But that's why this talk really giving you some tips, 5 good tips at should we, shouldn't we, are we ready, are we not ready, what do we do? And that's fast is the new smart. That's how this kind of came up, just talking to my team, talking to customers, understanding, how do we get our customers accelerated? It's and as I say here, it's the do we, don't we debate is over. We have to start. We can't wait. We get falling behind our competitors if we wait. And you saw the stats. People are scared of starting. But my tip number 1 is start. Even if it's one use case, one area of your business that we help identify, and you work with your team to identify something where this is well applicable, where you've got data, where you've got something that will make a really good impact. I'm a Six Sigma black belt myself, so that brings me to my second tip. You've got the methodologies. Get started. You've been talking about these things, or you've been working at least with problem solving methodologies like Lean Six Sigma for probably all of your career, if you're in process engineering or if you're in quality and validation. So my next tip is those trusted methodologies are there for a reason. Use them. Use the AI ML technologies and get started, but also don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's what I'm saying here. They are there for a reason, those methodologies. Use and adapt them, modernize them, use them with the correct methodologies to get you started. Don't just leave them and throw them out. A lot of people kind of, we work with De Beers diamond mines all over sort of Africa, Canada, and Botswana, Botswana, South Africa, and so forth. And their CIO asked me some years ago, he sits up here in London, he was saying to me, Annie, I love all of these things and innovations that's coming out of here. Should I rip and replace everything that I've done? Should I start over? Should I start spending loads of money and putting new sensors, more sensors? And I said to him, no, David, no. use what you have. We need to adapt and modernize, apply what we know, because those are trusted methodologies. That's our industry speak. People know these things. This is how we've been solving problems. But make the AI, ML methodologies, you marry with that, and get it to work. Use the process, use the things that you've been using all along, use the systems you've been using all along, but make sure we adapt and we shift your mentality to also incorporate AI and ML. And that brings me kind of to my third tip. Don't go, guys, and pick something, and as I said to you, AI and ML algorithms were built for finance and insurance. You've got all of those forecasting, survival, predictive analytics for customer behavior, and your cell phone contracts and your insurance policies, and who should they sell to, what sort of risk, and what the premiums are. That's where those models came from actuarial sciences and things like that. They weren't first developed for factories and its applications, but today out there, for the use cases I was talking about, there's some really good algorithms out there. There's some algorithms that can be married, adapted, used for your factory, and you've got different stakeholders. The people in the audience, as I said, in a large motor manufacturer, 5 people in the plant kind of wanted to and understood what the benefits were of deploying AI and machine learning. You've got departmental managers, you've got your process engineering, you've got your guys in the lab, all of the lovely people whose kind of pictures, and your GM of your plant that's really responsible for absolutely everything. We need to assure that what we give them and what we feed them and the way that they look at data is very different, and the way that they need to be interacting with these algorithms are very different. But make it useful for their application, for them to ingest. I was speaking about, I've got 20 different dashboards. Who uses them? They're not going to use them if they're not applicable to what the questions that person wants to answer today. And that brings me kind of to my tip number 4. Gartner's basically telling us that guys, I'm a granny. My little grandkids are in South Africa, and they use apps for everything, guys. I'm an old dog, but I'm using apps for everything, right? And Gartner's basically saying to us that huge statistics around the use of apps and super apps. By 20, the slide, as you will see, says there to you, 50% of all the global population will be using apps and super apps. So when you thinking of pushing out information to your stakeholders, that the person in the lab, your engineering guys on the floor, your departmental managers, your plant GMs, how do they want to consume what these AI and ML models are spitting out, in context with process validation, with your shelf life analysis? How do they want it to look? So we want to assure that when you're pushing stuff out to that audience, that it's consumable to them, that they can eat that elephant in small, tiny bites. And the last thing I kind of want to talk about is then, I was speaking about those just 5 people in the room that understand what this stuff is. Now, I want to tell you a little joke around this. When Harry met Annie. Now, Harry, this is not his actual picture, but he is a guy, and if some of you, I saw some of our registrants were from South Africa. If you'll remember the old Escort in Vanderbijl Park, that was my very first, as a young consulting statistician, data scientist. That's the first production plant I visited in my career. And Harry, I arrived there in my little business suit with my laptop, and climbed up the steel stairs and sat down in the control room. And Harry walked in and said to me, "Hello, sweetheart, and where's your boss?" And so today it's Harry and I. Harry's still my customer. We have quite a giggle about this, but what I want to say about this is data literacy, and the stuff that I do versus the stuff that Harry did. And Harry has tremendous process experience. He understands really what's happening in his process. He's got a high degree of technical engineering skills. I can't build these models without understanding Harry's problems and having his experience behind me. We learn to speak our own language together because I'm a data scientist. I don't necessarily know everything about your process, but I know the right steps to build you a model that will work and tell you the answer that you need at the end of it. And not just that, in March, April, I spoke at the UK Manufacturing Summit again, the Manufacturing Technology Centre, and also we incorporate with the Pharma Manufacturing Technology Centre in Cork, talking about are our teams and those we shouldn't have just 5 engineers in a room understanding how to at least apply and understand what these algorithms are spitting out to me. We should make our teams, our community data literary. So training, data literacy training this year for 4 or 5 of our very largest customers. We've started rolling out small data literacy programs around just understanding basic analytics, how to look at data, how to understand what it is telling you. Because with all of these smart things, it doesn't help spitting data out from an app or a dashboard for somebody, and they have no clue what to do with it and what it is trying to tell them. So data literacy, we're seeing just a lot of our data science talent not reaching the technical and engineering and manufacturing floor. Those discussions are not happening, guys, and so make sure that our talent's being nurtured through this process and they understand what we're spitting out to them. But not only that. For our engineering communities to embrace. And people usually ask me, and again, this motor manufacturer said to me, well, I don't think we have people in our audience with the skills to learn these things. Should we go and hire a bunch of data scientists? And I said, absolutely no. Those people don't understand your business, and there's tons and tons of research. And if you're interested in, let me know. How do I skill up my force? It's better to teach somebody that knows your business extremely well about some of these techniques and what applies to them and how to understand it. They don't need to be the builders of that. You may have 1 or 2 specialist people within your business that works with and helps you with that. And they usually sit in IT, and it scares me when IT pushes people out to a production floor when they don't understand the business. So teach somebody that understands your business those skills. Far better trade-off, guys, and all the research says that. And if you want to have some of that research, and how here in the UK, there's a bunch of funding being pushed out for small and large, and especially smaller manufacturers. Some funding being made available to nurture their talent, to uplift and upskill, because the manufacturing industry is losing brains, is losing people out of the industry, because it's not necessarily a guy that understands about data gets headhunted by a bank very quickly. We want to retain that, and we want to have those people in the room, and we want to take them with us. They're high value assets because they understand our business. But teach them. You can teach them these things for sure. I've done it my entire career. We've trained in oil and gas. We've got a specific customer where just this year, we've trained almost 500 of the geologists, geoscientists, process engineering guys, well engineering, drilling on the oil rigs, just how to basic intro to analytics, how to analyze, how to use a dashboard, how to understand it, how to build it, quick dashboard in a day, and solving some of your problems and understanding them. So I'm going to stop, I think, right here, guys, and just sort of tell you that through all of this, we built a product called Sigmafi. It is built to do all of the things I've been talking about, the platform. And I don't want to talk, we are selling you something today. I wanted to really focus on what we know you need, the intelligent things to get started. But we've built a platform that does these things, that's incorporated, that talks your language, that is with ML, AI under the hood, integrated data platform, one platform using Six Sigma methodology to do things like process optimization, root cause analysis with ML and AI under the hood, your continuous improvement, all of those things, use cases we were talking about, smart data science fabric under the hood, AI and ML fabric under the hood, to not only talk continuous improvement, but to talk to your continuous validation, your shelf life, all of those things sits under the hood. And of course, statistical process control being, so important. And we've built this platform because we realize there's stakeholders that view a system from a very, very different approach. If you're in a leadership team, you want to see a high-level bird's eye view of your entire process, upstream, downstream. How am I doing? Where am I bleeding? What's hurting? If I'm a departmental manager, I look at my department, want to zoom in on the things that are non-conforming, not running to spec, where I have outliers within batches. If I'm in the process and engineering, these things like predictive maintenance, I want ML AI under the hood, building that into this process across the value chain. And of course, your finished products, quality control, shelf life. Those are the things that are important to your business, to your customer, and your process, Six Sigma speak. So I'm going to end off here with saying, obviously, we've built a platform for exactly that. It's called Sigmafi. If you want to talk more about it, see it, let us know. Also spoke about the right way to embed AI into your business to get fast results, smart factory solutions in there as quickly as possible. Am I even ready? Can I do that? And I really say here that organizations that overplan fail, and organizations that don't plan fail as well. So we kind of use a fast is the new smart approach, guys. We want to say, am I ready? And we've developed a methodology with 9 building blocks. And again, if you're interested in understanding that, let us know. But getting you ready for AI, assessing if you're ready, starting with the first use case, while we're scaling you up to do it for many. If you've got a burning platform and a burning issue, we have made sure that we can get you started, because it has to pay off for itself somehow. Get you started, check if you're ready. Start with something small, but don't forget about the rest of the blocks, scaling you up, preparing you to scale. Do you have the right data? Do you have governance? You guys are so heavily focused on your regulations and your good practices, making sure all of those frameworks are in place. While I at least start deploying a first use case, I prepare to scale. I prepare to transition to be a smart factory and have a center of excellence for AI. And I can quickly, if use case number 1 is finished, I can use that test to get started and repeat, plug in new use cases, but I'm building that platform and that infrastructure for it. So guys, I'm really done, I promise. Just know that, as Al said right in the beginning, we have little AI assessment, readiness assessment workshops available for you guys. We also have the ebook that talks about, in general, manufacturing. We are busy creating a pharma ebook specifically because we're just having more and more customers ask us in pharma, how do I get started? What do I embed? When do I not do it? What should I be looking at? And therefore, kind of this talk. So, guys, I'm going to stop talking and
Thanks, Annie.
allow you guys to ask us some questions. We've got a few minutes left.
We're at 40 minutes past the hour. Very keen to always stop a little bit short. And Annie, you were immaculately on time. That was brilliant, to the minute. But we're here to ask some questions or answer some questions. First of all, it was a question that's popped in. So Annie, you talked about use cases and starting fast. So and the elephant approach. So I think even in the invites we sent out, we talked about regulatory versus quality? And is there a use case, a very fast use case that you think can help both the quality department and ensuring that regulatory standards and approvals are still there? Is there something that you've worked around in that area or field?
Yeah, we actually currently in well, two projects. One of them specifically being around looking not only at it's trending of our product pre-market. What anomalies are we detecting within our manufacturing process? And then a post-market, trying to see when our product's already on the shelf, what are complaints we're receiving, what's the severity, and how's this tracking? But as you say, there's the compliance, but then there's also the what are we doing back to our process when we see that yes, we are complying, but we still have things that go wrong. And how do we embed and whilst of course looking at your good practices and all the validation documentation that goes along with that, assuring that when you're embedding all these modern techniques, if you will, that everything fits within your regulatory frameworks, and what we put down is validated applications. And guys, by the way, Sigmafi, under the hood of that technology, are validated applications. They are not just built from vapor. They are validated applications that drive the AI and machine learning algorithms. So they're already approved for your use. But making sure that when we deploy these things, that regulation doesn't go out again, the baby with the bathwater. In any of these projects, we work with, and our teams are heavily trained on working with sticking within those regulatory framework. Everything's documented. How does an AI ML project get documented and included in your validation packs of what we put down there? So very good question, whoever asked it. But we assure that of course we're used to working within the industry. We assure that when we are deploying, that it's not only about putting pretty pictures there, but sticking to validated applications, sticking to assuring that we know what documentation needs to go with it, and that your validation happens. Thank you. Thank you, Amal.
Yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that. It's very interesting, and actually for people that have joined us today, Annie, I met you 11 years ago, and actually it was around a software application that's used by 80% of the world's largest pharmaceutical manufacturers. So I think that's very interesting. Another question, Annie, that's come in, and again, I'm kind of picking the ones I think you'd like, and we'll make sure we answer any others. But well, please keep them coming, right?
I would love, but it's good for the audience.
Yeah. You talked before about having lots of dashboards. We have kind of everyone seems to, when we look around the business, we have lots of dashboards everywhere. But not everyone, that means people have got different views of the same, or data views of the same. What are your thoughts around that, making sure that, in management reports, there's a consistency?
So often, again, I walk into a quality lab, and the quality lab has the same dashboards that my factory GM has, or it's just a filtered down version of it, and so forth. That does not talk to that person. That doesn't talk to my process engineering. And that's often, that stat right in the beginning when I was saying the Gartner stat. They say statistics never lie, but statisticians do. I think it was 85%, or was it 80? Keep me honest. That I think that's where that fails, is that when we're pushing it out to a person that's supposed to understand it. In South Africa, we work with British American Tobacco, cigarette manufacturer, right? And when we're pushing a QC chart or statistical process control chart out to a production floor, to my shop floor guys that need to just understand this, I'm trending out of control. What do I need to do? It's very different from me as a process engineer, perhaps looking over a longer period of time, is the product behaving or not? They may look like the same thing, but they're not the same thing, and they're telling the same two different people, two different things. So making sure, if you don't make sure that that's consumable to the person looking at it, I don't think that people are. Then dashboards are going to die, I think, and that's we don't want that. We want that to be used like you would your fitness app and your as consumable as that is to my 5-year-old granddaughter, should it be. And I think Michael, at the first time I met him, I think it was in 2015 in Austin, which I think is where also when we met. He said that if a fifth grader can't read what a chart or a dashboard's saying, it shouldn't be published, because you passing out loads of junk, and does that person understand what they're seeing, and can they take action? So again, next to that, the data literacy, making sure that whether it's a shop floor operator of a machine doing advanced process control, or whether it's my GM of my plant, what they're consuming is what they need to answer questions today. And I think that's really important.
Thanks, Annie. Yeah, it's really interesting. I heard something similar, by the way, which is a dashboard or a data app is like a joke. If you need to go in and explain it, it wasn't funny to start with.
There we go.
So yeah, absolutely. So that kind of data literacy and having people understand really those visualizations and the data applications that we see. I think what's very interesting, I'll kind of finish on this one, which is more of an observation, because I've been working around pharmaceutical manufacturing from, Annie, not as long as you actually, but kind of 11, 12 years. And I think there's a really big observation, I think, which is if you're sitting as an if you're heading up your operations, if you're sitting in a leadership position, or if you're sitting within quality, or if you're sitting in the pharmaceutical, it's very, with regulatory pressures, it's very interesting that sometimes we think that the grass is greener, that we look at the rest of business and think, well, without regulatory pressures for design of experiments and through that process, the rest of the industry is very it's easy for those guys to adopt AI. And the interesting thing, Annie, and it's something that you and I were talking around, I want it to be a relief to everyone on this call. Gartner, who are kind of the industry analyst, looked alongside VentureBeat, and they looked at statistics in AI adoption and whether it brings any value. And I think that was really a surprise to me, because only about 15% of AI adoption across all business can be tied to a business outcome. And I think the key thing is that's where, if we jump back to pharmaceutical manufacturing and Six Sigma, where we define and measure, and we're going back to that methodologies, where we're used to defining, measuring, but then improving and then repeating. Actually, ourselves here in pharmaceutical manufacturing have got a really good head start in applying and measuring business outcomes, and I think that's absolutely key.
Al, I think you'll remember when we spoke with the Pharma manufacturing user group in Sligo in Ireland, they were basically saying to us that they think people like the fast moving consumer goods guys, the food manufacturers, the beverage manufacturers, who we work with also, are a bit ahead of them in adopting AI and these things. And I kind of say to them, no, you think that, because of using the correct methodologies, using or already being so strictly validated or regulated, and the processes being already so highly validated and using the right methodologies already, you're ahead of the curve. They might have adopted some of the things quicker in some ways because they're not so highly regulated. However, if I would put one of them and readiness next to a pharma company, the pharma companies tend to be more ready. They have the data. The data is well federated, and so forth. So guys, I think hopefully that's some good news for you, because certainly from the pharma communities I've spoken to in the last year or two, they kind of seem to think they lag behind people like fast moving consumer goods and those kinds of things, and they're not really. They really are not. Guys, thank you. I really appreciate this. Thank you for asking questions. It's so hard speaking to people for 40 minutes and nobody asks a question. So really appreciate your time. We know you're busy people, and you've got real jobs, and your plants don't just stop running because you're attending this meeting. So I'm really thankful for your time. I hope it was at least in some way insightful, and that you learned something new today. Guys, reach out. The team can provide you with the deck, the ebook, and so forth. And please, if you have any questions, please don't relearn from scratch, guys. We've done this, and we can hopefully help you on this journey. Thank you very, very much for your time. I appreciate it.